Hi, Greer. Welcome to the Circle.
Hello, Delphine. So nice to be here
Yay!
on this beautiful fall morning.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting ready for this. I was thinking about how we met because it has been at least 15 years. I'm not even quite sure. I've lost track of time. But I remember we met at an event our good friend Mona Shaw hosted at French 75.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember coming away from that event thinking, wow, that Greer Wylder, she is an amazing person. And I went home and I subscribed to the Daily Dose of OC, and I have been an avid follower ever since. I absolutely love what you do.
Well, thank you so much. That's so nice. And I love what you do. This podcast is amazing. So I'm very happy to be here.
Great. So for our audience, you are the founder and publisher of Greer's OC, which is a popular Orange County fashion and events and retail website. Mm-hmm. And you put out an email newsletter, The Daily Dose of OC, which, as the name says, is a daily newsletter, and I look forward to it every time.
Thank you.
So give us a little hint. How did you get started doing this? What was the thought behind it? And how long have you been doing it and all that?
Well, actually, I was prior to my Daily Dose of OC and Greer's OC, I was at the Los Angeles Times Community News for a long time, for 14 years. And I had a very popular column. And I covered basically the same thing, but I was very limited to just Costa Mesa and Newport Beach. Mm. For a while, I covered Laguna Beach and Huntington Beach a little bit. I was up even in Westwood because they also had a publication up there. But unfortunately, I got laid off in 2005, and it was only weeks after one of my 4 sons was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So it was just a bad timing. And I really loved my job, and I had a big following. And this is really prior to social media. I mean, there was YouTube started, but it just wasn't anything like it is today. But I already had a following, and I loved what I was doing. And I was like, gosh, maybe I can do what I was doing without the Los Angeles Times. So I created a website with the help of encouragement from friends. They were like, you should do this. You can still be doing what you're doing on your own. Mm-hmm. And the reason that I also love having my own publication more than, say, working at the Los Angeles Times, I'm not limited just to the areas where they publicize. So I can cover Irvine, Orange, something in Los Angeles. I mean, anywhere. I'm not limited to the area. But also another reason was I really wanted to promote a lot of charities, mostly JDRF, because of my son who has type 1 diabetes. But, I think there's 4,000, if not more, nonprofits in Orange County. And, a lot of them are so important. And so I'd like to give a voice to a lot of nonprofits. So it's kind of like I'm promoting things that are happening in Orange County that are interesting, that for busy people who are like, gosh, what's the new restaurant, or what's the new, event I should be going to, or the Newport Beach Film Festival, when's that coming up? They can look on my website, but also they'll find out what's going on with charity. So it's a win-win, I think.
Well, you give exposure to a broad range of businesses and restaurants and events, and in a way that if you didn't do that, they may just fly under the radar because there is so much going on, and it's always hard to know kind of what's going on. Mm-hmm. So how do you constantly keep up with all the information? I mean, you put out a lot of information. Right,
I do put out a lot, but also I've been doing this for a long time. So I would say I get about 200 pitches a day.
Wow.
Yeah, and my emails are just filling up right this very second. So I get them from, Orange County, but, kind of like all over the country. So I get a lot of pitches. People want me to write about their business, their product, their new restaurant or something. So I don't really have to go out at this point and find things on my own, although I do that as much as possible. But a lot of it is delivered to me by different publicists.
So how do you pick? I mean, do you have favorites? Are there regions? Do you try to mix it up in a way? Or?
Yeah, I have to be super selective because, at this point, just about 6 months ago, I redesigned my website and
now
my
it looks
newsletter.
Gorgeous. I love it. It's much more streamlined now.
Thank you. And now I'm only sending out my daily dose 3 days a week. Before I was doing it daily. Now it's very curated. It's only the most important things. I just think daily was a lot, and 3 days is perfect. But I just had to be selective. Some things are just not as important as others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some people, if they're like, I've got to be in the daily dose, then they're gonna have to pay.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's how you have to find a way to monetize it, right? It's a business for sure. So one of the things that I have been thinking a lot about, because so few of the publications I used to get am I even getting anymore. Like, there is a huge switch from print media to online media. And I mean, you were really kind of ahead of the game, because it's really more recently that we're seeing a lot more publications either closing their doors altogether or just switching to purely online. So did you see this coming down the pike, or were you just at the right place at the right time?
I mean, it was started, what really killed publishing and print publications, the ad dollars. There's just not a lot of ad dollars. And especially when Craigslist came out, Craigslist was a place you could easily post something, you can easily place an ad, that really killed a lot of newspaper advertising dollars. And the whole ad industry just changed, and monetizing things changed. So, and publishing a print publication is so expensive, So I don't know if that kind of answered your question, but it all started like in the mid 2000s, and it's just getting more and more that way,
Yeah.
So it's sad. I mean, it was so nice to read print publications, but they're not that many people do anymore.
Do you still get the newspaper in print?
No. Oh gosh, no. Haven't in years. No. My mom gets the Wall Street Journal, and so when I go to her house, I'll read the print, which is nice, but not anymore. No.
Well, it seems so fun what you do. I mean, I love restaurant openings. I love hearing about new things, and I always see you at the coolest events. I mean, what's your favorite part about your job?
I mean, that is fun to try new places, but it's also just meeting the people behind the places, especially when I was originally at the Daily Pilot and I was just doing the restaurant reviews. Like, I would go in and interview the chefs, and they're so like passionate, and all of them are so talented. And I know, sometimes people, or it seems so at this time, and it kind of still a little seems like that, people outside of Orange County kind of look down on Orange County, like we're not Los Angeles, or something, but there's so much talent in Orange County, and it just seems like year after year after year, it's getting better and better. Just last night, I went to Knife and Pleat at South Coast Plaza. They just received a Michelin star, which is amazing, So that was very exciting, and they just opened their first restaurant, I think, 2 years ago, and they both came from Los Angeles, the chef and his wife. But that's really cool, you know?
It's really cool. And that one in the old Marche location, right? For
yes.
people who are not familiar with it, it's up in the top level outside of Nordstrom and South Coast Plaza. Such a beautiful job they did on that space, too. It doesn't look anything like Marche did.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yes.
It's super, super beautiful. So,
Yeah.
So it's just cool, Orange County really has a lot to offer. And also, sometimes things don't last here that come from Los Angeles, but for them to get a Michelin star, that's really cool.
Yeah. Do you think that that's still the case? I mean, I grew up in LA, and I absolutely 100% agree with you. I mean, the only time anybody ever talked about going to Orange County was you were either going to Disneyland or you might be going to like Huntington Beach for the beach or something like that. But really, it was true. It's like nobody really went from LA to Orange County. What was the reason? Having moved here in '89, I've been here quite a long time. I'm more of an Orange County person than an LA girl at this point, I have to admit. There's so many wonderful things about Orange County. And when I leave Orange County, I appreciate it even more because, so do you see that? I mean, because you do talk to a lot of people, and as a kind of a representative of Orange County, do you feel like that's starting to be a shift in thinking?
Yeah, I mean, especially, Los Angeles is great. I don't want to put down Los Angeles. I really like it, and I do enjoy going up there every once in a while. But the traffic is really, really bad. We can't ignore COVID. COVID's been worse up there.
Yeah.
I mean, Orange County seems, I don't know why, it just seems more open and more safe, you know? So, and we have a lot to offer here. We don't have as much traffic or crowds.
Yeah.
So,
do you feel that people are making that shift? Have you heard that, or?
Yeah, I think that a more, here's what's funny. When I go on my website's analytics to see, who is on my site and where they're from, the top city is Los Angeles.
Wow.
So people want to know what's going on in Orange County.
Yeah, I did a staycation. It was probably at the end of 2020 at the Lido House, and was hanging out by the pool. Started talking to people around the pool. Every single person around the pool was from LA. So everybody was kind of coming doing staycations in Orange County, which is really cool. We have so many cool places, so many cool restaurants down there.
This is true.
You're also a social media consultant, marketing consultant, which is an area that a lot of businesses struggle with. It's a new medium. I know I do. It's a lot to know. It's a lot to learn. What do you think it is that makes a successful social media marketing campaign?
Well, I think very important is you have to be very careful with social media. I feel like a lot of people overpost and they're not thinking about it as much. They're just like, we've got to post, we've got to post. I think you've got to really have a good strategy behind it. And it can't always be selling. It has to be like giving, educating, entertaining. These are, like offering the viewer or the audience, like what is good for them? How is it going to help them?
Right.
And then every once in a while, something to do with subscribe or sign up or buy my product or something like that. But it has to be something that your audience is receiving, something good from it. So, and I mean, visuals are very important. Videos are very important. Staying on top of, 1 minute you've got to do, TikTok, and then you've got to do Reels, and, it's always changing. Yeah. So you have to really stay on top of it. I have to admit, was it October 6th or 5th when we had the shutdown?
Yeah.
I was like, for 6 hours, I was like, okay, I can't do anything right now.
Right.
With my social media clients, I can write some content, and I was actually at that point, I was on a train to visit my mother, and I was like, I'm going to fall asleep right now. Like, I was just so tired, and I got to nap, and I was like, this is so great.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't imagine what like, just if those really were to go away altogether, what life would be like. So
I could deal with it.
Yeah, I know. I could deal just fine. But I know that, like in other countries, it was hard. A lot of people, like in Europe, et cetera, they use WhatsApp to communicate with family members. Yeah. So that was down. And so it was a problem for a lot of people. Yeah. But for me, I was like, this is a little mini vacation.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So do you have an example of a company that you think is really nailing it and doing a great job in social media marketing?
So, yeah, I have a few. I think Taco Bell, which is right here, they are doing such a great job with social media. They're super funny. They're super entertaining. I mean, even if you don't like Taco Bell, if you don't like their food, they're killing it at social media. I think they're really great. I have a friend, Winnie Sun. She is a financial advisor. She's here. She's located in Irvine. She's so talented. She also is. She's often on, I think, Good Day LA. I think she's on there, but she's all over the place. But she's on Twitter, and she offers so much financial advice for free. She's just giving out free advice, for anyone, how to save for college, how to put your kids through college. She manages people with, a lot of. She helps people that have, a lot of wealth, but she's also giving out free information for people who don't. And
wow.
So she's really amazing. I also, I don't know if you're familiar, I'm sure you are, with Farrow and Ball. It's the English
paint company. Yeah.
I think with them on Instagram, they give out a lot of information too for people who love, especially in 2020 when everyone was home and how can we make our homes more beautiful? They were giving a lot of tips on what to do to your home, and painting a room can really, change a room. And they gave a lot of like free advice on design and style. And
I love that.
So yeah, I think, I think those are three of my top favorites. I also think Kiehl's, the skincare, they do a really good job at, kind of including everybody, just all, men, women, everybody, as far as like skincare and how to help your skin. So I think that's nice.
I love those. Taco Bell, I think, is the only one that I've actually seen. So I want to go look those up because I'm always trying to find examples of who's doing it right, and doing it well, because we can all learn from that type of stuff.
Exactly.
Why is it so challenging? Why is it that we're having such a hard time kind of wrapping our heads around the online marketing thing? I mean, do you see the same issues and challenges coming up over and over with your clients?
Yeah, I mean, social media is not easy. And when it first started, I would say 2008, 2009, it's changed a lot over the years. Now it's a lot. You've got to put money behind a lot of stuff, Very few things really go viral, but they do. I mean, or I shouldn't say viral, but just, you can really get a great audience without putting money behind it. But, it's challenging. There's a lot of noise on social media.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are already on there. So you have to be unique and be entertaining and be different and give, good content.
And it seems like it's always changing, it's, you finally figure out, like, you think you understand how to work something, then they kind of change up the rules, and then they add as soon as I got Facebook down, then they, Instagram and Twitter, and, now there's Clubhouse. I mean, there's just always something new that you've got to kind of be on top of, and it really does take a little bit of time to spend the time. That's what these great young people are for.
Yes, exactly.
That's what we do. Coming out of this whole 2020 experience, I've really been seeing, it seems like advertisers really had to take a step back and rethink about their messaging. And changing times, that's so important for advertisers, right? Not to just keep doing what they're doing, but actually be sensitive to what their audience is going through. What kind of trends have you seen in terms of how advertisers might be changing their messaging coming out of that whole experience?
So I think that more so in 2020 than ever, so many people are at home, so many people are scared. A lot of people, not everybody, suffered financially. I mean, it really hit people, in a lot of different ways. But I would say, most everyone was very scared, and a lot of people worried about their finances and their health and their families. So I think advertisers, companies, they had to be more sympathetic, empathetic towards people, and, consider what's going on with their finances, with their worries, with their health, and, trying to offer more value, I would say. That was, so important. And then, of course, online sales just went crazy.
Right.
And they really still are.
Yeah.
So
I know I noticed that my buying habits definitely changed. And I can't say necessarily it's for the better, because I feel like I've become more of the problem of, like, the middle America going away. When you had to stay home, you did so much more online shopping. And now that we have the opportunity to get back into the stores, I'm not doing it as much. I've just really become accustomed of the convenience of it. So I know that is going to be a challenge really for people who are brick and mortar still, trying to figure out how to still drive those clients into the stores. And a big part of what you do is to help raise that awareness of store openings, new businesses, new things that are coming about. So I appreciate what you're doing, because it really is, I think, a help and what we need in order to help our communities thrive, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, it's just, it is changing a lot, but there's nothing like, going into a store and actually trying on something.
Yeah.
You can order things at home, of course you can, but it's just nice to, go in a store and actually see it and feel it, etc.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if you saw our podcast with Shaheen Sadeghi, but he spoke very succinctly about that he believes it's going to be the personal experience that's really going to drive buying power, and how we're going to see people getting engaged with their brands. So I hope that that's true. I want to believe that it's true, because I do love that kind of stuff. And I was just in Paso wine tasting, and there's something so exciting to see the person who's making the product and get to interact with them. So I think I'm hoping that that's where we're going.
Well, Shaheen, I mean, there's no one like him in Orange County. He is such a maverick, Well, he and his wife, with what they did at the lab in 1991 and what they've created ever since. If you've ever looked at their website, I mean, I think they have like 20 or 30 properties. It's just insane. So they've always been very they've been ahead of their time as far as making it an experience to go somewhere, and also offering, small business owners a place to start their businesses. I mean, those two are just amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what's more to come down the
Yeah.
pike there. So you have your degree in journalism from Cal State Long Beach. Cal State Long Beach girl.
I know. I feel very fortunate to go there. I love that
I
school.
cannot tell you how many of my friends I'm finding out are graduates from Cal State Long Beach, and they're all like the top of their game. David Ems, former president of BNY, and he's the head of the Orange County Museum of Arts board. Cal State Long Beach guy. Heidi Benavides is his partner. So I do love people that are local graduates. But, it's funny because journalism is one of those interesting areas that seem to be also being impacted by this move to online. Do you think as an art form that journalism is suffering from print publications not, being in the forefront of people's minds anymore?
Well, definitely. I mean, journalism has changed so much, even from when I was at school. Of course, there wasn't even the internet back then.
Right.
And I always mentor girls at Newport Harbor High School. I've been doing that, I think, for a dozen years. They're all interested in what I do and in journalism. And it has changed so much. I mean, journalism is you don't really have to go to school for one thing, which is very important to know. Like, if you want to be a journalist, you don't have to go to school to be you just get to know a certain subject very, very well, and also become a very good writer, but you have to read a ton to become a good writer and learn from someone else. But yes, I mean, it's definitely getting more difficult, and there's not as many, publications, of course, but there's a lot of blogs, and so I don't know, it's just changing, but, the world is changing too. So I don't know. I don't really have a great answer for that, but.
Well, it's a complicated one for sure. But speaking of books, as I understand it, you're in the process of writing your first book.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Born in OC.
Yes.
Which I happen to know that you weren't born in OC originally,
No.
so it's not an autobiography. So tell us about that book. It's coming out this year, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm hoping to have it released by Christmas, but we'll see. There's always, just like building a house or anything, everything takes longer than you want it to. But I started writing this book in the early 2020, January, and it's an idea I've had for, at least maybe 20 years. And I wanted to write a book about the people that, not necessarily people that were born in Orange County, but like ideas that come out of Orange County or businesses that started here. There's so many, like Vans, of course, Disney, Knott's Berry Farm, the whole surf industry.
Right.
A lot of it is from here. There's a lot of interesting, chefs and people that are trying to help the environment and, artists, architects. So just like it doesn't have one set theme. It's just a spread of different people in different industries. Doesn't mean they have to be born in Orange County. It's just that what they're doing is affecting Orange County in a positive way.
Yeah.
So, and my goal was 70 interviews. I've done 30. And I'm from different people I've talked to, I kind of think I should stop there because, it could just be too much content. But yeah, but I'm very.
So is it like a chapter, a subject?
Yeah. Yes.
That's so cool. I'm excited.
So I'm excited too.
And how are you publishing that?
So I'm going to self-publish it on
Yay.
Amazon. Yeah, I'm very excited. Yeah, it's definitely a bucket list thing. Yeah,
I love it.
So
we do a little something called Big Questions here. And this is an opportunity to kind of get to know the inner workings of people, which is always something that fascinates me. So let's start with, do you have any consistent daily routines?
I definitely do. I love to work out. It's not a chore for me. It's not something like, oh my God, I have to go to the gym. I love working out. It just makes me feel better. And I'm a long distance runner. So I've run, I think I don't know, anywhere from 33 to 36 marathons. I'm not quite sure.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
full marathons?
Yeah, a lot of marathons.
Wow.
And then, I mean, if you're going to count half marathons, I'd probably run at least 75 of those.
Wow.
So my only issue is that in COVID, I ran way too much. Gyms were closed.
Yeah.
I never liked to run every day, but I kind of was running every day in
You
COVID.
just needed to get out. Yeah.
So I think I injured myself for the very first time. So I have some disc issues that I'm not super excited about. So I'm trying to get those solved. For right now, I'm taking a little running break, and now I'm swimming every other day. I do yoga at home. I love this woman on YouTube. Her name's Adrienne. It's called Yoga with Adrienne. She has like free yoga classes, and you don't have to go anywhere. You can just do it in your living room. It's really, she has like 600 classes. She's so inspirational and so great. So I do yoga. And I also walk and do a little bit of weights. So yeah, that is my daily routine, is making sure I get, a workout first thing in the morning.
Why is that important to you?
Because I think it just makes me feel younger and more healthy, and it helps with, ward off depression and all those things. I just think it's really important to move your body, every day.
Right. Mental health. It's funny because for so long I was not, I probably only started exercising in my 40s. And I used to hear about people that exercise and I was like, those exercisers, But I know people are probably sitting back and going, oh my gosh, she does marathons in her 50s. Like that seems incredible to people, but it's something that you really love, and it's something that really has a positive impact on your life, and it's a good thing. It's a really good thing.
Well, it started, I have 4 sons, but after my second one was born, I was just kind of feeling, I was only in my mid-20s, but I was like kind of feeling not that great. And I was like, I don't feel that great, and I feel out of shape. And I found a little ad in the Daily Pilot, and this was, in the early 90s. And it said, do you want to run a marathon? We have a training program. You can run a marathon. So I signed up for this training program, and I loved it. And I just I met all these really nice people, and we ran our first marathon together. And then I just stuck with it. It's kind of like my addiction. It's a healthy addiction, but it is I'm addicted to it. So I love it.
My son's decided he's going to train for his first marathon. Is there a group specifically that does that type of training?
I'm sure there are now.
Yeah.
I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
It's because I run by myself now.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Nike used to have one. I'm not sure. I'm sure there are a lot of Orange County running groups, but yeah. It helps to run with people in the beginning because they keep you going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's super cool. Tell me something that people would be surprised to hear about you.
Well, I was thinking about this. I don't even know if
I'm actually kind of surprised to hear that you've done so many marathons.
Oh my God.
That's pretty incredible.
It's pretty crazy. I guess that I'm a complete introvert. Yeah. I really feel more comfortable and more relaxed, etc. Like just being one-on-one with a person rather than being in a big group at a big party. It's hard for me. I go to a lot of events, but I'm kind of like that person that's like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go home,
Yeah.
Or when I can sneak out and do the Irish exit, because just being around a lot of people, the energy, it's really fun and exciting, but it's also very draining.
It is, yeah.
So I'm much more of an introvert. I like
so our events girl is really is a homebody.
Yeah, not so much a homebody, but more of oh my God, there's a lot of people here. And this is a lot,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm definitely an introvert. So.
And did I see a post or something? Did you model in your
I modeled in high school. I lived here in Newport, but I went up to LA almost every day. It was really exhausting. So I was a Wilhelmina model back in the day, which was really fun, really exciting. But I burned out on it really fast. And then I just got back into modeling, I would say 4 years ago, from my childhood girlfriends. They were like, why aren't you modeling anymore? And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm old. And second of all, I hated it. And they're like, well, do they need models your age? You should just go back and try it. So I got signed at Brand Modeling here in Santa Ana. and it's a really great agency, and they're super nice, and they do direct bookings a lot of the time. So they'll just say, we need a mom, to be a mom of young kids at Hoag Hospital or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got this.
Yeah.
Like, I can do this.
I can do this.
And then I'm thinking, why did I hate modeling? Like, it's actually, you're not putting out any fires.
Yeah.
You're not like trying to solve any big problem. You're just sitting there, they're putting your makeup on, you do your job, and then you go home. Like, it's so easy. I mean, it's not, it's just a fun. I don't do it all the time, but I do it, and it's fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say surprising because you're so gorgeous. I don't think anybody's going to be surprised to hear that you're a model. But that is fun. And you don't think about it. We don't usually think about that to go back. But I'm so happy that you did. As a writer and as a book advocate, tell me about some books that have had an influence in your life.
Well, I have to say, a lot of books, and for different reasons, they've influenced me. But I really liked a book I read about 6-7 years ago from Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. He wrote a book called Jab, Jab, Right Hook, Jab, Jab, Right Hook. And basically, it's all about selling and like presenting yourself. And his whole thing is you can't be, take this, buy this, this is why you need this. He's very much about giving, and then asking, It's as far as providing content or being a social media person, you have to be providing good information. You have to be educating. You have to be providing something that is valuable to someone. And then you can ask, for something, to sell something.
Yeah.
But it's just, it makes sense. And it's almost like you don't have to read a whole book about it, but he presents some very good examples in that book. So I think it's anyone that's interested in social media or just about anything, it has a really good message.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I actually just became hip to him, which is, embarrassing to say because he's obviously very well known and really gets out there. But I'm a recent fan of his work, and he is just so full of energy, and I feel like I learn something every time I tune in. So
yeah, he's great. I listen to his podcast quite a bit too.
Yeah, he's good stuff. So being into yoga, you're probably a deep thinker. What do you think is the purpose of life? Why do you think we're here?
Gosh, I think that is a very good question. I think the reason we are here is to learn and to thrive and to try to be our best self. But also, God's a big part of that, in my opinion, and love, So yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, and the reason why I asked that question is people always ask me, like, why do you bring that question up? And I said, because I think it's good to approach your life in a thoughtful manner. And when you ask yourself, what's the purpose of life, it kind of makes you have to create a path for what your life direction is. And I'm always interested to see what people's answers are. It's so funny. They're kind of all over the board. Some people do not know it all.
Well, I think a big part of the purpose of life is giving to others. You have to like share in some way and try to help others. It's, it's very, very important.
Yeah, good. So. I love that. It's so good. What keeps you up at night? Is there an issue today that is more pressing or more on your mind?
I think the biggest problem right now, and I know it's so political and can get very, people are, all over the place, but I really think our biggest problem is the environment. Yeah. It's such a worry. There's so many things. There's food waste, the ocean, the forests, water. In
California, we're really being impacted by those things.
It's just so worrisome. There's so much to do. There's so much, we should all be trying to, be better at. It's a big problem. Also, healthcare is a big worry, why it's so expensive and unaffordable for so many people. It's, it drives me nuts. So yeah, these are big problems. And especially, with the oil spill, it's just like, ugh.
It's probably going to be months before our beaches are opened again.
I think that, I don't have all the answers, of course, but I think the the only way we're going to get better and change is to educate young people, to get them interested in helping the environment, and just more education for younger people, and hope that they'll help, whatever things that our generation has done and before us, that the younger people are going to make better choices and change.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's about education. Tell me something you used to believe but you don't anymore.
I mean, that's a hard question. I think, to be honest, I think it's very hard to have it all. Like, as a woman, I think it's so hard to have a good marriage and happy, healthy kids and have a great career. There's so much. It's so difficult. I think something's going to give. There are some people that can kill it in all three areas. And I say that because, I'm a mother, and I'm divorced, and I didn't have a successful marriage. Careers are hard for everyone. I just think it's very hard to do it all. And there are times when everything's aligning and everything's good, but it is a struggle. It's very hard. So I mean, it's definitely aspirational to achieve, happiness and success in all three areas, but it's very difficult.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think as women, especially taking on the role of raising children and giving birth to children, and I feel the same way. I felt like when I had my kids, I was either doing a good job at my job or I was doing a good job at being a mom, and it very rarely felt like the two overlapped. So I totally agree with what you're saying, and I think maybe we should not to put so much pressure on women to feel like they have to be it all and do it all, because then you feel like you've disappointed people, and that's not the case.
And then you also just have a ton of guilt. It's hard. I don't know any mom that doesn't have guilt. It's a difficult. It's a problem. So what's
a goal that you have yet to reach?
Well, finishing my book for one. That's a big goal.
Close.
I would maybe like to try a different career. I'm not sure. I'm thinking about it, but I'm not sure. So that's kind of a goal in the background. I also, I would love to have more time to volunteer for different organizations. Those are just some of my goals. Yeah.
Do you love being an entrepreneur, or could you see yourself being an employee?
I love being an entrepreneur, but there are some things that are appealing about being an employee as well.
Yeah.
I look at my son, my oldest son, who has a nice job. He doesn't work the weekends. He has very good benefits, and these are things I don't have. As a self-employed person. So, I mean, there's trade-offs, but I don't know. I mean, people that are employed, they say, "Oh no, don't ever do that." So we'll see.
So I'll give you a tip. One piece of advice that I got that really helped me is when they say if you're considering a change in your career, instead of figuring out what is the job that you want to do, instead write down an outline of what you would like your life to look like. And I kind of came up with like 5 bullet points. And that's why when I decided on the podcast, it was because I was like, boom, boom, boom. It reached to all of those bullet points. So sometimes it's easier to think more about the big picture and what you want your life to look like instead of specifically what the job is going to be, because who knows what that could be, right? It could be something totally you don't have on your mind yet.
Right. That's great advice. Thank you. Did you do a vision board?
I have done a vision board. I'm not as good at it as some of my other girlfriends are, though. They have I feel like I did it, and it was like, oh, well, those are the pictures I found, but not necessarily everything that I wanted to say in my vision board. So I keep saying I need to edit it a little bit better. Are you a vision board person?
I'm not, but I've been hearing about them. I'm like, maybe I should just try it.
Let's do it. Let's have a vision board day. And
just do it. I know.
It would be so fun.
I know. It would be a lot of fun. See what happens.
As if all of that is not enough, Greer. You're also an executive producer on a documentary, The Human Trial, which is about the search for the cure of type 1 diabetes. Obviously, something that has hit you on a very personal level with your son. How did you get involved with that? Well,
when my son was diagnosed 15 years ago, as a mother, you just feel very hopeless and helpless. It's a big overnight change for everyone. And I mean, for anyone who's is a mother or a father of a child with type 1, you have to learn how to cook, and feed your child and give them insulin, and everything affects their insulin levels. Weather affects it, even exercise, stress, everything. So there's so much to learn in a short period of time. And if you make a mistake, it can be it can, be life-threatening. So I became very much involved in JDRF right after he was diagnosed, because they are the leading funding of diabetes research in the world. They're making life better for so many people with type 1 diabetes, and they're trying to find they're raising funds for a cure. So
are they getting close?
I really don't know. I mean, I would like to think so, but I really don't know. That's a big question mark.
Okay.
But life is a lot better for type 1 diabetics for sure. So anyways, through JDRF and the people that I've met in that organization, I met 2 filmmakers from Los Angeles, and they specialize in documentaries, and it's Lisa Hepner and Guy Mossman. And they were making a film they wanted to portray on film what it's like to have type 1 diabetes, because most people don't know, because a person with type 1 diabetes looks completely healthy. If you saw my son, you would be like, oh my God, I can't tell he's sick, So it's very much an invisible disease, but inside it's wreaking havoc on people's bodies. So they wanted to portray on screen how difficult it is for researchers to find a cure, all the challenges, all of the, all the obstacles, just what they go through, and they'll get so far and then something won't work and then they'll have to start all over again. So they want to humanize what the researchers are going through, but also humanize the patients and what they're going through. So this has really portrayed this perfectly on film, because a lot of people just don't know. And there's been a lot of documentaries, on autism and all these other very important diseases that you're like, wow, that's what it's like. But no one's done it with type 1 diabetes.
That's interesting.
So this is coming out in May of 2022. I know they really wanted it to come out this year for the centennial of the invention of insulin. But it's very hard to get the film out in time, but it'll be May of 2022. And I think anyone, even if you're not affected by type 1 diabetes, you'll come away like, wow, this is like really important and we've got to figure this out. With type 1 diabetes, there is no like screening for it really. Like with women, we can go have mammograms every year, to make sure we don't get breast cancer, or try to, stay away from smoking cigarettes, or different things for lung cancer. But with type 1 diabetes, it just hits people out of the blue, and it's no fault of their own. They did nothing. There aren't even genetic markers, it doesn't necessarily run in families. So, wow. And it's very difficult disease to manage. So I'm excited about this film. Very excited.
Is your son going to be one of the subjects in the film?
No, he's not in the film. No. But yeah.
How will we be able to find it when it comes out?
I mean, they wanted it to debut at Toronto Film Festival. I'm not sure yet where it's going to debut, but it'll, eventually definitely be online. I don't know, theaters, I'm hoping. We'll see. That's all TBD.
Okay. Yeah. Well, keep us posted. I know you will.
Thank you. Yes.
Of course, I can't have you here without asking for an update. I know a couple years back you were very public about the kids that you had adopted from Kenya, Jack and Millie, and posting pictures. And so give us an update. How's Jack and Millie doing?
So, well, real quick, about 10 years ago, I had this passion to go to Kenya, or to Africa, just Africa in general. I had this dream to go to Africa my whole life, not as a tourist, but as I wanted to go there and learn about what life was like there, and see if there's anything I can do to help, And it was such a lofty dream and idea. And I went for a month. I volunteered in a small village in Kenya. That had no electricity, no running water. The people live on less than $1 a day. I mean, they live in basically shacks built of mud, and sticks, or, they live in extreme poverty, and they're just the most lovely people. So I went there. I joined a project in helping mothers and doing different things, helping schools, etc. And 2 weeks into the project, I was like, oh my goodness, like this is a big problem. This is more than Greer Wylder can do. My stay here is not going to make a dent whatsoever. And I was very sad, but I'd also friended 2 young adults in that project that lived in the village, and they were basically helping the other volunteers, stay safe, or et cetera. And their names were Jack and Millie. They were best friends, and they both told me they really wanted to go to college. And I asked them, what that would cost, and they told me. And they never asked me. They never asked me for money or for anything. But I just thought, gosh, that's totally doable. It's a lot less expensive than sending someone to college here in the United States. Yeah. And so I'd taken a lot of photos in Kenya, and I came home and I decided to sell them. And Peter Blake, who I know and will be on your show shortly, his art gallery in Laguna, he was so nice to open it up to me and let me sell those photos. And I sold them in one night. I think we sold $4,000 worth of photos, which was enough to get those guys enrolled in school. So I went back the next summer and we enrolled them in school. And long story short, they are thriving. They're doing very well. Jack and Millie are both parents now, and they both have girls named Greer, which is hysterical.
That is amazing.
And they also named.
How old are they?
Jack is like 36, I think now, and Millie, I think, is 34. And we stay in touch all the time. They're family to me. It'd be so great if they could come out here at some point. But they both have 2 kids themselves, and their names are Forrest and Greer, and that's my brother's name, and it's hysterical. Yeah. So, but they're doing great. I'm so happy. So I'm thankful to everyone that got involved, because we had a lot of fundraisers at different restaurants where we'd be bartenders for a night or sell cookies or whatever. And a lot of people stepped up and helped them. So that was really cool.
That is really cool.
So it's very fun to have a connection on the other side of the world.
Are you familiar with Love Tribe, the African group, the charity that's putting together money for Africa?
No, I'm not.
Well, I'll tell you about it, because they're doing some great work, and Julia Post and Carmela Phillips and Rose Burton are the ladies behind it. So I'll give you some more information about that.
Very nice. Very nice.
So nice having you here today, Greer.
Thank you.
Is there any other things that we need to mention while you're here? Anything coming down the pike?
Not that I can think of.
All right. Well, you've got to inform us and keep us posted if that happens.
Okay, I will for sure. Thank you so much.
And we'll see you on the Daily Dose.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Delphine Circle. If you enjoyed the episode, please check out our last 2. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Delphine. Welcome to my circle.